Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day everyone. I hope that you and your family are well. This is our 7th meeting and we are going to talk about politics and government. I would like to recall our conversation since the first meeting up to the 6th meeting. During these meetings, we have talked about the definition of politics and also how the philosophers um, see and describe political actions. However, as I have stated before, these philosophers are considered as classical philosophers. Yeah. Thus, it's very important for us to learn how our contemporary political scholars see politics. Yeah. On this session, we are going to discuss the opinion of two political scholars, and each have their own view on how politics works in our contemporary nation-state international relation condition. First, before we delve into how politics work in our contemporary period, we have to differentiate between nation, state, and government. This is very important because oftentimes people mix between these three varied concepts. Yeah? The development of nation and state came from the Westphalian Accord between the competing European powers. Before the Westphalian Accord, the competing powers were determined by lineage. Yeah? Kingship and lineage were the two main identifier of a political power in Western Europe. But then, after the Peace of Westphalia, the powers in Western Europe started to develop a modern political institution that we call now as state. So, in short, state is a political unit which have four criterions. The first, it has sovereignty. The second, it has territory. The third, it has citizens. And the fourth, it has acknowledgement from other sovereign power. So, in order for a state to exercise its sovereignty, the state requires an executing body within itself. And this executing body is what we know as the government. Yeah. So, looking at Indonesia as example, we have the Republic of Indonesia as a state. Yeah. And the birth of the Republic of Indonesia is on the 17th of August 1945 at the event of the Declaration of Independence. Yeah. And then, in order for the Republic of Indonesia to execute its sovereignty, yeah, to execute its power to control and to create order within its territory, then the state of Indonesia create its executing body that we know it as the government of Indonesia. Yeah. So, in our contemporary period, a state tend to have fixed territory. Yeah. If you know Indonesia, then Indonesia is from the northernmost part, yeah, up to the southernmost part. From the westernmost part to the easternmost part is relatively fixed, static, unless there are several other political occurrence. However, government change. Yeah? Some government change regularly during the election. Some change less regularly, perhaps because of the form of the government is a monarchy, so it changed after the passing away of the previous kings, or perhaps because of it is a dictatorial government, so it doesn't change for 20 or 30 years. Now, in Indonesia, we have the government led by the President Joko Widodo. Yeah. And by 2024, his mandate will expire, and Indonesian population will vote for a new president. But the state of Indonesia will remain the same. Yeah. Even though we have different government, the state is remain the same. It's similar with what happened in the United States of America when you have the election, and then Donald Trump was elected, and then on the last election, maybe is Joe Biden that is elected. So there is a change from the administration of Donald Trump to perhaps the administration of Joe Biden. But the state of United States of America is remain the same. Yeah. So that's we need to differentiate between politics and government. Sorry, between state and government. And now we are going to talk about how politics works in the government. Because as you know, that politics is the action to collect power and resources, and then some distribute the resources to fulfill the needs of the citizenship, and other political actors hoard the resources for his or her own benefits. So within a state, the political process happen mostly in the government, yeah, in the ruling body of that state. Therefore, we have David Easton, yeah, proposed his model of government. Yeah. This model is known as the black box model because Easton used the black box from the airplanes, yeah, as the model of his political model. So according to Easton, in a political system, yeah, the government is like a black box system. Yeah. We don't know what happened within the black box. Yeah. It is something secretive, something hidden from the view of many. This also happens in the process of government in creating policies. In creating policies, governments also work in mysterious and secretive ways. Yeah. So according to Easton, general population or the citizens of a state might give inputs to the government in the form of demand. Yeah. For the example, the people of Indonesia demand a better method of dealing with COVID-19 pandemics. That's for the example. Yeah. So these demands then goes into the government machinery, yeah, the government machinery, and then being processed by the government in their mysterious way. We don't know what happened inside the black box. All of a sudden, the government then produce a decision or a policy. Yeah. And after the government produce a decisions or policy, there will be internal feedback from other bodies within the government, and perhaps there will be external feedback from other system or environment, such as the citizen, such as the Association of Indonesian Doctors, yeah, or perhaps from the hospital association, and from parent teacher association, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So again, according to David Easton model of government, the government works in a mysterious way. The citizen, we as citizen, we can give inputs to the government in the form of demand. Yeah. We demand the government to do something or something, and then the government, after receiving the inputs from us, they will process it in mysterious way, and then without us knowing why and how, the government then will produce a policy or a decision. Now, after the government has produced decision or policy, we as citizens are able to engage with the policy. We might provide support for the policy, or we might provide another demand. Yeah, we are not satisfied with the policy, so we demand for another type of policy. Yeah, this happens in a cycle, so that the government will work like this in daily life. Yeah? And then this is how the governance process within a state works. This is how politics work in a particular state. Yeah? Critics on Eastern black box model disagree with this notion, because this model put citizens into a reactive mode. Yeah? Citizens can only react on whatever policy that the government will produce, and then we might support it or we might disagree with it, thus creating new demands for inputs to the government machineries. Therefore, it is very unsatisfactory, because we as citizens cannot do anything other than wait for the government to produce decision or policy. Then we react toward whatever decision or policy that the government has produced. Yeah. So, David Easton model of government put emphasis on the secretive nature of the government, and this consequently put the citizen into a more passive reactive position. We as citizens cannot be proactive by forcing the government or driving the government to adopt certain activities or to adopt certain policy. We cannot do that, because we don't know what is happening within the government. We don't know what is happening inside the government machinery. It's a mysterious black box that us, the normal citizen, will have no access on. Yeah, so this is David Easton black box model of government. Since there was dissatisfaction to Easton model, other scholars tried to describe the political process within a state through other modules or other cycle. Yeah. One of them is Gabriel Almond. Yeah. Gabriel Almond produced a new model of political activities within a government. Yeah. And his model is known as Gabriel Almond's light bulb. Yeah. If you look on the screen, Gabriel Almond model is similar to a light bulb. Yeah. When you put the light bulb on ceiling, it will be like this. The light bulb describes the process, the political process within a government in more clearer and more transparent compared to the black box model that David Easton had proposed. According to Gabriel Almond, the political process of a government start on the condition or change that might happen, yeah, on the external environment, such as physical environment, social environment, economic environment, and so on and so forth. Yeah. For the example, yeah, we have COVID-19, which caught us unguarded, and then the pandemic COVID-19 uh, created a massive change in our external environment. Yeah. It is no longer safe for us to go out without using mask. Yeah. It is no longer safe for us to shake hand or hug or perhaps greet our friends, our family in intimate manner. Yeah. So this change in external environment will create inputs. Yeah? Input is a stage in which citizenship, the citizen, they talk informally, they discuss about the change of on the external environment, and then they have their opinion. Yeah? But there is no pattern or no particular uh, strong opinion, yeah, from this type of input. Yeah, it is this something informal that people talk about in coffee shop, or perhaps they talk about this during soccer match, or they talk about this when they hang out with their friends, and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's something informal and uh, unfocused, perhaps. Now, when there is this input, then being processed by the first actor, number one, circle here, which is the interest group. Yeah. Interest group. So when we have like change in our environment, and then the citizens start to notice the change and they talk about the change, they perhaps trying to make sense of the change, then come an interest group. An interest group is a group of people which band together because they share similar interests. Yeah. Perhaps, yeah, this interest group seek to educate people in Indonesia to wear masks. So they create a group, yeah, that uh, mask warrior, for example, like that, and then they have the interest to educate the people of Indonesia to wear masks. So they will collect information from the common people, from the general public, about the information that perhaps can push people to wear masks more stricter than before. Perhaps information about someone, yeah, John Doe, that died because he did not wear mask and got infected by COVID-19 in his workplace, perhaps. Or perhaps this information is about a research done by Professor B, yeah, or Professor C, or Professor D, and this research proves that mask is effective in preventing the spread of COVID-19 disease. Yeah, so this kind of information, whatever kind of information, is then gathered by the interest group, and then this information is articulated, yeah, put forward formally to the public sphere. The mask warrior then create publication or perhaps Facebook page or website, yeah, and then they educate the people on the importance of wearing mask, yeah. So this is interest articulation, that uh, from the general public opinion, a group then collect those opinion, formulated in a more formal way, and then put forth to the general public uh, a suggestion, a campaign, or perhaps an education that is in line with their interests. Yeah, so that's interest articulation. Yeah. Now we have, like, in Indonesia 200 million adults. So if we ask for their input on something, maybe we have 200 million inputs. Yeah. Some of the input then reorganized and then repackaged by the interest group and then put forward into the public sphere as interest articulation process. Yeah. However, the number of interests would be still too many. Yeah. Therefore, we need an actor, a political actor, that then put these various interests articulated by the interest group, yeah, put them in priority order, in order of priority. Yeah. The first, the most important, and then the second, the less important, those that are not important, those that have to be cancel or denied. Yeah, put this in priority, in priority list. So this priority list is collected by the second actors, yeah, which is the political party. So political party's job is to collect interests articulated by interest group and then put these interests in a list of priority. Which one is the most priority, the highest priority? That is the one that we need to do now, like that. And which one is not important enough, which one is not necessary to talk about, which one that we need to forget, yeah? And which one that we need to deny or disagree with. That's what political party do. So it is very normal for political party to disagree with another political party, because each and every one of political party have their own political platforms, yeah? And they will produce this list of priority based on their political platform. Yeah? So it is very normal for political party to disagree with one another. For the example, in the UK, we have Conservative Party. Conservative Party prioritize the stability of economy, yeah, the stability of their economy. Then we have the Labour Party. The Labour Party put emphasis on the distribution of wealth. Yeah? And then we have the Green Party, which concern themselves with the environmental condition. Yeah? So these political parties, they have their own political platforms, and this political platform often in competition with one another. Yeah? So from this list of interests, then the political party will compete with one another to push their agenda, yeah, and to include this agenda in the policy making process. Yeah. They will try their best to put their aspiration, to put the interests of their voter base into a law. Yeah. So this is what happened. Yeah, from interest aggregation, from the list that the party have collected, then the party will try to campaign for this list. Yeah, will push it into the national law, and this is the policy making procedures. Yeah. So if the first political actor, the interest group, transform input into interest articulation, the second political platform, the political party, transform interest articulation into interest activation. The third is the elected official from the party, members of House of Representatives, members of House of Commons, members of TPR, yeah, member of any legislative bodies. They were elected by the constituent, by the voters, in order for them to push the list of policy, their political platform, into the policy making procedures. Yeah. So we arrive at policy making. During this policy making procedure, however, the legislature cannot work by themselves. They need to work together with the executive branch of the government. So in Indonesia, TPR cannot work by itself. It has to work together with the government, the president and his ministers. Yeah. And in Indonesia, president and or his ministers have the right to propose a draft for the national law. Yeah. So if you are Indonesian and you are interested in a particular draft of national law, you have to understand first which branch of government proposed this. Is it the executive branch, the president, the minister, or the legislative branch, the legislator, the elected members of House of Representatives? Yeah. Because, for example, on the case of omnibus law, it was the government, the executive branch of our government, the president and his ministers, who proposed the draft. Yeah. And then it was received by the members of the House of Parliament, and then up to how many? 8 factions within the House of Representatives agree with the draft, while 2 others disagree with the draft. Yeah. So that's policy making procedures, and it is very normal for political parties to disagree with one another during the policy making procedures. It is very normal for a political party to disagree with the proposal submitted by the governments and the ministers. Yeah. So you cannot like bully the opposition party for disagreeing with the omnibus law, saying that they are seeking for sympathy, they are trying to gain voters, and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's their nature. It's their nature. It's very natural for them, for political parties, to try to gain sympathy from the voters. Yeah. It is very common, very usual for political parties to disagree with policy that is against its political platform, against its interest aggregation process. Yeah. So after a law or policy is officially adopted by a country, then the implementation of the policy goes to the executive branch of the government. Yeah, the minister, the departments, the bureaus, and so on and so forth. It is no longer the responsibility of the legislatures. Yeah? It is no longer the duty of the legislature. Now in Indonesia, we often mix the role of these various branch of government. Yeah? Even, for example, we have a terrible road with terrible condition in front of our house. We should go to the government, to the executive branch of the government, to the mayor, to the chief of department of public safety and public health, for example, or to the minister of infrastructure, because they are the executive branch of the government. It is their job to execute the or to implement the national law. But however, in Indonesia, we often come to the legislative branch of the government, and we often say that, okay, I already voted for you last year, so now you need to be thankful to me by uh, making the road in front of my house better, for example. It's not like that. It's not their job. It's not the legislative job. It's the executive branch of the government's job to implement a particular policy or national law. Okay. Now during this implementation phase, there might be corruption. There might be loss that the state that incur to the state. Yeah, like perhaps we spend 1 billion, but then to build bridge, but then the bridge only cost 200 million. The other 800 million loss, yeah, goes into the director's account or perhaps to other minister account or something like that. Yeah. This is a loss for our country, 800 million. So in order to make sure that the implementation of the policy works well, we have what we call as policy adjudication. Yeah, and this adjudication process is done by the judicative branch of the government, the judiciary ones. Yeah, from the general attorney to the judges to the Supreme Court judge, those are the political actors that ensure the implementation of our national law work well. Yeah. And all of this process, starting from input into interest articulation to interest aggregation, interest aggregation to policy making, to implementation, to policy adjudication, is documented and then publicized, yeah, by the news media. So the number 6 is news media. They publicize what happened within the White House, what happened in the Downing Street number 10, what happened in Istana Negara. Yeah. They investigate what happened in the Senate, what happened in the House of Lords, what happened in the MPR DPR. Yeah. And the result of their investigation become information, yeah, the output that then feed toward the environment and then will trigger new round of inputs. Yeah. So number 1, the first actor is interest group, changing inputs, informal input into formal interest articulation. Actor number 2 is political parties, that they aggregate interest from their power base, yeah, and then after the election, members of the party playing actor number 3, yeah, they will push their priority into national law. Yeah. Thus, they are heavily involved in policy making procedures. However, for in Indonesia, for example, in order to implement the policy, yeah, the legislative require the power of executive, yeah, the president and his ministers. Therefore, the number 4 is the executive branch of the government, president and the minister. They have the power to propose, submit draft of national law, and they have the power to implement the national law, yeah, rules that have been adopted as national law in Indonesia. And then this implementation process require need to be observed like that, and need to be guarded from corruption, yeah, from nepotism and collusion. And this is the job of the judiciary branch of the government. Yeah, they will conduct the observation between implementation of policies to the policy adjudication. Yeah, and then the last is the news media that will run the stories of a particular policy from number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Thus, media become an important actors, yeah, that provide transparency to the citizenship. So instead of being trapped in a black box, Almond stated that political process in our contemporary state, in our contemporary government, is actually very open and transparent. And also, citizens are not passive and reactive. They can be very active and proactive. Yeah? They can involve themselves in any stage of political process that they want. Yeah? You are interested in football, for example, then you can create a interest group about football. Yeah? You are interested in the life or the prosperity of the farmers, then you can create a national interest group talking about the prosperity of farmers. Yeah, or maybe you are interested in a political party, you can join a political party. Yeah, you can work with them, you can educate the general public using the political party platform. Yeah, or perhaps you are elected into DPR, yeah, or perhaps at local level, parliamentary at local level is fine, yeah, and then you can contribute there as well, or you can contribute to the executive side of the government, yeah, and this is very popular in Indonesia. Yeah, lots of parents want to have or want to always encourage their sons and their daughter to become public servant, yeah, or to work at public service. Why? Because it's safe in economically speaking, like that. But then beyond the stability of personal economy, yeah, the citizen that that perhaps have the impulse to provide service to other citizens can join the executive branch of the government. Yeah, or perhaps you are interested in justice, in law, in protecting the rights of the weak, then you can join the judiciary branch, and you will keep eye on the implementation of policies. Yeah, you will help the poor, the weak, protect their rights. Make sure that the implementation of policies runs smooth, yeah, without any trace of corruption and so on and so forth. You can be a judge, you can be a general attorney, you can be a prosecutor, and so on and so forth. Or perhaps you are interested in reporting, yeah, the political event, performing investigation, yeah, and broadcasting important facts happen within our political life, then it's free for you to become a reporter. So this makes it very easy and engaging for us citizens to participate in this various political process. Yeah. So these two can explain a lot of happenings. Yeah, lots of events happening in our contemporary political world, be that domestically within Indonesia or internationally. Okay, so this is for our seventh session. For our next session, yeah, please choose a case, yeah, a political case. You can choose uh, Indonesia political case or international political case, and then please uh, analyze that case using this Almond's light bulb model. Yeah, identify what was the input. Yeah, how was the interest articulation process? Who were the actors that push or articulate the informal input into a more concise and more formal interest and information. Yeah, and then how was the interest aggregation, the policy making procedures, who were the actors, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so you don't need to create the light bulb, you just need to explain each step, yeah, and describe each actor involved in that particular issue. Okay, I hope you can get my explanation clearly. If you still have question, you can send message to me, yeah, and then you can collect your case study as our eighth meeting, yeah, as our eighth meeting. So next week we will meet again at our ninth meeting, yeah, because the eighth one is your assignment. Okay, hopefully that's clear enough for you, and do not hesitate to reach out to me if you have something to ask about. Thank you, stay safe. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.